In our celebration of Harlan's role as elder here in the life of the church, we chose to focus on three areas: discipleship, service, and hospitality. Three areas that we felt Harlan has been an example to us. So we will share some stories about that for you. By word and example, Jesus frequently taught about the importance of humble service. And in today's lesson from the Gospel of John, in which you just heard Candy read, Jesus and his disciples are around a table, all of them reclining as they did in Roman days, propped up on their elbows, dipping their sumptuous pita into the bowls of savory hummus, licking their fingers and washing it down with a glass of wine. The chatter of conversation fills the room. At times, this loud laughter is interrupted from a story, or this loud laughter interrupts the gathering with a story that one of them has shared. Oil lamps flicker as evening draws in, their light enhanced by the stars shining in the night sky overhead. Jesus gets up from this table. He strips off his outer robe and he wraps a towel around his waist, pours water into a basin, and begins to wash the disciples' feet. And he tells them, "If I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet." If one claims to be a Christian, then by definition, we are a disciple of Jesus Christ, right? Disciples are followers of their master. We are students of our teacher, Jesus. And in the Gospels, Jesus is pictured with his disciples as leaving everything behind, leaving fishing boats and tax collection booths, families and homes, to take up a new path. And this new path then leads to a new way of life. Yes, church, as the disciples soon found out, the life of discipleship, of following Jesus, is life-changing. It's grace-filled, but as each one of them will discover, it is costly. Discipleship is a life lived in commitment and relationship to Jesus Christ. Discipleship is a life that continuously calls us to wash the feet of another through our humble acts of service. And this life commitment, this new direction or change of path must be guided and led by the Holy Spirit. One summer at church camp, young Harlan Johnson was aware of a movement of God's Spirit who called him to a life of discipleship and serving Jesus Christ. His home church in Portland, Kansas, elected him as an elder at the age of 16. And this was the beginning of a life lived in humble service to others, a life of discipleship, a life of symbolically washing the feet of another through humble acts of service, kindness, and compassion. Harlan continued his education and received his Bachelor of Divinity degree at Phillips University and became ordained through the Christian Church in Salina, Kansas. But Harlan learned that early discipleship has its risks and can be costly. I remember sitting at the Lincoln Country Club during the Seniors Keystone Award luncheon in 2012, 4 years ago, and Harlan shared the story of one of those times when discipleship has its risk and is costly. He was a student minister at a church outside Dallas, Texas. We have the town's name, but we won't mention it. We are on Facebook, by the way. After experiencing several situations of prejudice against the African American community, Harlan decided to preach a sermon against racism. And after he preached the sermon, he was invited to leave the church immediately. Yes, discipleship has its risks, and indeed, at times, is costly. 6 years later, in 1960, Harlan and Eula moved to Lincoln, where he laid plans and the groundwork for the Northeast YMCA and became its executive director. And the village of Bethany and the community of Lincoln has not been the same ever since 1960. It's easy in a world like ours, it's fast-paced with technology and achievement, sports and entertainment, excess consumerism, to forget about the importance of simply being of service to another, of washing the feet of another in need. Most of us do forget that simple lesson. It's vitally important for us to be here on Sunday mornings together in church, in the community, with Jesus and the disciples in spirit gathered around the table, because it is here where the Gospels remind us of what Jesus said and did. That life is really empty unless it is lived in service to others. Jesus' whole sense of identity was centered around the image of servant, of washing feet. In Harlan, you get that. In my 20 years of Bethany Christian Church, I've witnessed your life, a life of service, and you are indeed an example for us to follow. You are here every Sunday, almost every Sunday. I can count on my fingers, probably in 20 years, the times that you haven't been here. You lead a busy life. It would be easy for you not to be here on a given Sunday. The community is important to you in your volunteer service with Cornhusker State Games, or Red Cross, or Rotary, or the Bethany Business Association would take you somewhere else. But you are an elder, and you get that. You are a disciple. You are faithful to a way of life that God has called you to very early in your life, and God bless you for living that out. Our churches need elders who will take a towel and a basin and wash the feet of another. And Harlan, I've witnessed you wash the feet of families at Christmas. The tears welling up in a child's eyes when Santa arrives in his red sleigh, carrying bags of presents for the whole family, a Christmas tree, and a grocery sacks of food. I've seen the gratitude of a woman from Africa who walked into church and told her story of being alone with her 2 children in an apartment, a student at the UNL Law School, sleeping on a floor with no bed or no furniture. And when you found out, gathered furniture together, took it to her house, and delivered it to her door. I've seen you in your auctioneer's hat and experienced the joy of a young woman in need of a heart transplant who was the beneficiary of thousands of funds generated through your voice, a skilled auctioneer. And once when I was on vacation and you were on call, lucky me, but not so lucky for you, you got a call from a former member living in New Jersey who said, there is a man lying on the floor at Eastmont, unconscious. and you went to Eastmont and washed that man's feet and assisted him back to life through your skills and knowledge as a Red Cross volunteer and one of the first CPR teachers in Nebraska. Jesus said, if I have washed your feet, you also ought to wash another's feet. And then he goes and he says one better. One better. If I've laid down my life for you, then you also ought to lay down your lives for each other. Thank you, Jesus. Maybe. That's risky. That's costly. That's pretty dang scary. Arlen, thank you for all the feet that you have washed in 56 years as an elder of Bethany Christian Church. Your witness to the love of Jesus Christ and your everyday acts of humble service are a beautiful example for other elders and all of us to follow. Church, the feet of the world wait for us.
As a hospital volunteer, I know how my life has been impacted by the service that I provide. The same can be said for Harlan Johnson, as reflected in the many years of service to volunteering in the Lincoln community. Why do people volunteer? Recently I read the following 10 reasons, which I feel provide a good explanation. Number 10, it's good for you and provides physical and mental rewards. It reduces stress and makes you healthier. Number 9, it saves resources and provides valuable community services, so more money can be spent on local improvements. Would you believe that the estimated value of a volunteer's time is $15.39 an hour? Number 8, volunteers can gain professional experience. The work can test out a career for each volunteer. Number 7, it brings people together and unites people from diverse backgrounds to work toward a common goal, along with building camaraderie and teamwork. Number 6, it promotes personal growth and self-esteem. Number 5, volunteering strengthens our community. It can help support families, improve schools and hospitals, and support youth programs. Number 4, volunteers can learn a lot. They can discover hidden talents that may change their view on their self-worth. Volunteers can learn about the functions and operation of our government, and they can gain knowledge of local resources available to solve community needs. Number 3, you get a chance to give back. People like to support community resources that they use themselves or that benefit people they care about. Number 2, volunteering encourages civic responsibility. Community service and volunteerism are an investment in our community and the people who live in it. And number 1, you as a volunteer make a difference. Knowing Harlan, it's easy to understand how he has been a strong advocate of these reasons for volunteering. His activity has not been limited to 1 or 2 different volunteer organizations, but much, much more. Here are just some of the agencies and organizations that Harlan has been giving countless hours to. The American Red Cross, his Rotary Club, the Bethany Business Association, the Cornhusker State Games, the Live and Learn program through Aging Partners, portraying Santa Claus at Christmas time, and of course, his service to Bethany Christian Church. Being a volunteer means having the enthusiasm to get the job done. For as long as I have been associated and known Harlan, he has continued to be very enthusiastic in all of his activities. His current health condition has made it necessary to curtail some of his volunteer time. And yet, he has continued to do his part when he is able to be involved. In this day and age, to recruit people to do volunteer work can be difficult, with so many other outside activities taking up a person's time. Harlan has taken the time to be a volunteer, with recognition given to him for his accomplishments by various agencies in the past. Harlan is indeed an extra special volunteer, as he has come through time after time after time when needed to get a job done. Harlan, with deep appreciation and love, your congregation salutes you.
Hear me now? No? I'll start off with this because I know this is a big surprise for every one of you. Not a one of you thought you'd ever see the day when I was up here. Alright? That's pretty nice. Harlan and I have had a few things there that I know of right off the bat. I think I've only known Harlan for 5 or 6 years, whatever it is there that I've been there with this church. But believe it or not, Harlan, you and I have got a couple things in common. Does that scare you? Well, Harlan loves to help others in any way he can. He goes out of his way to make sure families have got furniture, like what we've already talked about, people coming in from different countries, that they have food they're able to get started with. And the one thing probably that sticks in my mind is a couple of years ago where I didn't do an awful lot, but I kind of supervised. How's that? But I saw with this family where they had, gosh, I don't remember, like 3 or 4 kids, small kids. And I couldn't believe it because these kids, and they made a comment, this is like Christmas. We're bringing in this used furniture for them. Maybe a used microwave, chairs. These kids were just having a ball. They thought it was Christmas, getting all of these different items there for their house. You know, that was probably, out of everything, that was probably the one thing, watching these kids, that really touched my heart. And I do have a heart. But along with that, I kind of had the same idea as Harlan after I got to know him a little bit, thinking, this has happened quite a few years ago, actually. I'd really like to help people there also. So, and some of you already know, I started up my own practice and I wanted to be a psychiatrist. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to spend the money to go to school. I'm not smart enough to do that. I don't have the money to do that. But I learned an awful lot from the psychiatrist I was going to see twice a week. So I had a few customers to start off with, and I was trying to do like what Harlan told me to do. Try to help people and make things right with them, go out of your way to help them. I thought I helped them. they never showed up again. You know, this is, there in Harlan's case, things kind of change there a little bit. You know, I cannot ever keep track of him. He goes from one to another, to another, to another. He's involved in so many different organizations. And the majority of them, I don't even know them, you know. These are organizations where, well, everybody knows like the Red Cross and this type of thing, but he belongs with so many other ones that I'm not familiar with. But the one I do want to talk about, the one I do know for a fact, is what you have done there for this church. One thing that always sticks in my mind there, Harlan, is when Eddie and I first started coming to this church just to check it out. And we parked across the street at the library's parking lot, right? And I told Dave, let's just sit here. I want to see some of the people that go into this church. Okay? You weren't one of them, by the way. But once I saw a couple of people dressed in jeans, I thought, okay, I'm going to go. I can go to this church here. So we decided, I think we came here probably, gosh, I don't know, a dozen times, something like that. And decided this is the church that we want to go to. Very, very impressed by the congregation. Every one of you made an impression on us. And Daryl, you did too. But what really impressed me, sticks in my mind, and I won't ever forget about it. There's 3 people, everybody, there's 3 people that every Sunday, they were there to greet us, welcome us, shake our hands when we came in here. Kind of made like, hey, maybe we go there. You know, I get nervous when you join something and there's all brand new people. You don't know any of them. And I used to be quite shy until I met Harlan. And so you're to blame there, buddy. Probably, and like I said, this coming up and shaking our hand, welcoming us into the church to get a little bit more on that subject, it made a big impression. If I don't know that much here about, you know, what it did there today, but I remember that kind of thing. And I kind of decided I wanted to kind of be a part of it. So hopefully I will greet people and welcome them into our church instead of, well, in fact, maybe they will return the next Sunday. You know. Some people have the fear I might run them off a little bit. But Harlan knows that I give it a try, but I can't measure up to you, buddy. This is, like I said, this is something that's always stuck with me. I'll never forget it. This is kind of one of the things, like I said, that sticks in my mind, and that's very, very important to me, is to show your, well, I guess what I want to say is you show at this church, you show your love and your compassion. And with that, from you, from every one of you, our congregation, every one of you, that's what made this church what it is here today. And I thank each and every one of you, but especially Harlan, for making this church what it is there today. I thank you very much.